For those of you who don't know me, my name is Karin Burrell. And during my time here as a protracker, I started really just wanting to focus on politics. Straight up politics, nothing else. And as I worked through the program, I realized that my passion really lied in socializing and humanizing those political issues and making them a lot more relatable to others. And some examples of how I've done that throughout my time here, I did a piece on Occupy Madison, concealed carry legislation, and last semester in Deb's long-form class, I did a piece juxtaposing the lack of bicycle helmet legislation in Madison to how bicycle-friendly it is, which I have been talking with Madison Magazine, and looks like we're going to do a web exclusive on that piece, which is great. I also have a blog called In the Know, talking about politics, and usually I interview somebody to just give their perspective on the politics of today, but given my time limit, I'm going to jump in to my first piece, which is the Heritage Festival. I did it this semester. It was at Schumacher Farm Park in Waunakee, and you know, I went to do some research on it, and there wasn't a lot of information. So I kind of went in a little bit blind, and I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I set up an interview with Diane, and I went and I just started taking tons of pictures and talking to people. And for me, the purpose of doing that wasn't because I was going to use in my actual project what they were going to say, but more to gain their perspective on why they were there, what the point of this event was. And really, I used those perspectives to target what I was going to use from Diane. The story was picked up by WISC TV's Sun Prairie community site, which is great, and I think it really worked as journalism in that context, especially because it didn't just talk about, you know, this farm or this event, but really kind of this getting back to basics, nostalgic, you know, why we're all going back to a simpler time, and children can experience this even if they haven't in the past. I am really happy with the result. There are things that you can always improve upon, obviously. She really wanted to be interviewed outside, and it's exceptionally windy that day. And she also had a tendency to talk down into her microphone. So when I play it in a second, you can hear the ebbs and flows of her getting a little bit louder as she would look down. But I am really satisfied with the way that it turned out. So without any further ado.
My favorite part is watching the kids interact and do things.
Oh, sorry.
On the bottom left is the volume thing. It says like program.
My favorite part is watching the kids interact and do things, like especially the woodworking. Kids just don't get to do that stuff, like make butter and drill a hole and pound it with hammer and nail. But those are typical things that kids can do, and they used to do them all the time. For the most part, we try to keep everything calm and the way it was back then. We ask people to leave their cell phones at home. You don't want to be texting while you're here. We're really focusing on dressing the part. This is our new clothesline. We're really striving to have our things for people to learn about farming in the 20s and 30s. So for me, it's all about the kids and having a good time. Sky's the limit, really.
I want to shift gears now to an internship that I've been doing since the summer. It's at WISC TV, and I think this is what I'm really most proud of. I met with Colin Benedict, who's the news director at WISC, in October of last year, actually, and they didn't have an internship. You know, I talked with him about the news industry today, and over the next year, I kind of just bugged him a little bit, and ultimately they ended up creating an internship. And, you know, to be honest, when I started, I didn't really know what a producer did. And it's a little embarrassing, but I have a sneaking suspicion that other people probably don't really know either. So I just wanted to talk about what I do, first of which is determining content. we work with reporters on stories, as well as checking AP wires, looking at email tips, and I listen to police scanners all day. I think I dream in police scanner now. And then we stack the show, which means putting the order of the stories, which you determine a number of ways, you know, what's most newsworthy, things like that, and making sure that the show goes out on time. We have Letterman after our 10 o'clock, and they don't appreciate if we run over. And then writing VOs or voiceovers, which is what the anchors say on air, and booth producing, which is being in the control room during the broadcast, making sure everything goes smoothly. That's me booth producing. So I was going to show a bunch of scripts, but honestly that's pretty boring. This is a script that I wrote about the Matthew Graybill homicide that happened early in November. If you don't understand TV speak though, that's a little odd, I guess, different colors and stuff. So I thought instead I would show a clip that aired last Friday in our 10 o'clock news that I wrote and produced in the booth. And it's not a hard-hitting piece. You know, yesterday I wrote about the fisting cliff, but this one was just kind of a fun talker piece, something that was kind of light and was interesting to the community. So I hope you like it.
Well, we're just about here, and with it comes a favorite Wisconsin pastime, of course, ice fishing.
However, the DNR is warning fishing enthusiasts to hold on.
Wait for it to get cold enough for a long enough period of time for the ice to form thick enough so that you are safe.
Well, they say the ice should be at least 4 inches thick, which could take a number of cold days and nights in a row. Now, if you do decide to go out, be sure to wear a flotation device and bring a friend. And if you're alone, of course, the experts say make sure that someone knows where you are and when you'll be back.
Looking at some of the pictures, I'm surprised that there's any ice.
If you're out ice fishing, you're going to need a boat.
So again, like, even, you know, not just standing around the water cooler, but, you know, our anchors had a little bit of banter there with our weather guy, Gary Canolti. And it's just kind of a fun story that, you know, could just kind of slip in there between everything that's so serious. And I think I'm most proud of my internship because it's not just something that I can benefit from, but through, you know, my perseverance of kind of, you know, getting in touch with Colin, I feel like it's something that future UW students can hopefully gain the same experience that I was able to gain, pro-trackers, undergrads, and hopefully that's something that can live on after I graduate. So what's next for me? I am moving back to Baltimore from where I am originally from, and I'm moving actually on the 16th, so next Sunday, and there I hope to produce doing what I'm doing now, and that's kind of what my plans are. So if we have any time, we can take some questions if anybody wants. Yeah?
It's not so much a question, but I like your short piece, the Sunbury piece. That was nicely constructed.
Thank you very much.
Audio is always the bane of anyone producing outside. So.
Yes.